So, for those of you that might not know, this is my first time ever I'll be able to vote. I turned 18 this past year. And I think it's time for me to go and move over to Great Britain. All right. Have any of you take a minute to watch the presidential debate? Now, I'm not gonna get all political here, but that had to be trolled. That had to be staged here. Like, I'd just like to go over a couple things that happened real quick. Now again, I just like to state, I think both sides are kind of bad. All right, I'm not. No, we're not getting political in comments. I will delete every political comment. All I'm trying to say is, there's just so many memeable moments. For example, it was almost like watching my middle school self have a conversation. All right, they bring up a point like, Donald Trump, what do you think of the government spending? I think that if I were to analyze this, Joe Biden's smelly, so that's why the government's spending so bad. You know, if I was in presidential, Trump, your time's up. If I was the president, and then he goes on for another 5 minutes. All right, like at one point, Joe Biden brought up like Trump. Would you hook you up with a porn star at one point? What? What? What is this? Are we just throwing crap against the wall to see what sticks? Is this just an insult contest? Like this is supposed to be a political debate. I swear, most like 95% of the time when I was watching, like how are we gonna solve for example, the huge amount of debt we're in. There'd be one answer. Like Joe Biden was like, let's tax uh rich people. Cool. And then Trump doesn't really give a solution. He's just like, oh, you suck. And then Trump's like, if I was president, here's how I would solve this war. And then Joe Biden's like, but it's only gonna get worse from here. This is why you suck, Trump. And then they went this cognitive test thing about their ages and just started dissing each other like, oh, well, I'm more fit. Well, no, I'm more fit. Well, I'm smarter. They said they've never seen a test as good as mine. Like, it's like kindergartners arguing with each other. It was diabolical. It was horrible to watch. And then don't even get me started on the main meme, the stupid golf swing thing. I didn't even know. I thought it was troll. I thought it was edited. So what happened was they were talking about if they were physically fit enough. All right, and they were talking about how Joe Biden used to invite Trump to golf and they never did. And so now they were arguing about golf. And the guy that was asking questions was so obviously done. Because he was like, guys, come on now, guys. Guys, let's not act like kids here. Come on now, guys. And it's like literally begging them to stop, and they will not shut up with this golf stuff. Like, the guy that was asking questions was done about 5 minutes in because you ask a question and say, "Hey, this is your time," and they weren't answering it. Like he'd ask a question like, "How would you, like for example, I'm using Trump because that's the one I remember. How would you do with border control?" Know what I wouldn't do? I wouldn't be Joe Biden. Joe Biden just opened the walls, and then Joe Biden's like, I saw on Twitter, uh, actually I saw on Reddit some article that said, you were diss tracking on dead veterans. Like, neither of them were fact checked. Neither of them were really giving good answers. At one point, Joe Biden was like dissing on Trump for being shorter than he claimed. He was like, he says he's 6'4", 230, but if we were to look at him, come on now. He's obviously 6'2" and a half. All right. Well, do you want that guy as a president if you go by about half an inch and a half? Like, come on now. You know how many times I've lied about my height? Not actually. I'm 6'4". I swear. But it's like, what are we doing here? Like, I feel like they've gone past the age of being an adult and they're just back to kids again. They're like, hey, well, you're smelly. Well, no, you're smelly. Like, ew, girls are gross. Like, oh my gosh. And then sometimes they bring up like a severe point, like, hey, Trump, what does this quote mean? Well, it was misinterpreted, blah, blah, blah. And then you just go on a tangent. Like, no questions that were asked were truly like straightforward answered. And there's really no information given in a way that I wanted it to be given. Like, I'm not saying like, hey, drop a plan here. But I would say the national debt crisis is one of the biggest crises we have because I believe in my heart it causes inflation, sorry. And on top of that, just being in debt is never good. I don't want to ever be in debt. Debt is something that you try to avoid. It seems like we're constantly rising instead of decreasing. So I feel like that we should work on decreasing it. And I completely agree with taxing people that are in the high or brackets. I'm not rich, but I do feel like they should be taxed because at the end of the day, they have an insane amount of money. And quite frankly, I feel like rich people are just kind of sketchy to begin with the way that capitalism is set up. They kind of control things with lobbying. That's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother day. But I don't believe in rich people. I think we should prevent them. If we're looking at ultra rich people, I don't think there should be ultra rich people because ultra rich people just get their way. And once they get in that position, they kind of control that position and they can control government in a way to get that position. But I'm going on a tangent here. All I'm trying to say is I wasn't given any answers to my questions, and quite frankly, I'm just now freaked out. Like, gang, I think it's time for me to move out east. I think I'm gonna go live out my teenager anime fantasies and go live in like Japan or something. I don't know, bro. Anything's gotta be better than, whatever that little debate was. Like, you're smelly. Well, no, you're smelly. Like, oh my gosh, chat. How are you gonna talk about golfing at a presidential debate? Like, both of them should let's toss them in a retire home together. All right, get some new presidential candidates, toss them in a retirement home together. Go have your fun. Whatever. Like, go hang out, have some fun. I don't know, gang. Like, we'll get them on a golf course together, something like that. I don't know. It's just crazy, unnecessary, crazy, diabolical. Hate, hate politics.